watching Big Deal. Let's go straight across to Shashank on his view on the IT sector. So Shashank, you have a fair bit of investments, and Global Logic you still hold, but you made hefty returns, well known for that. And Zensa Technologies also you hold, and several others under Apax Partners. What's your view on this space and in terms of investments going forward?
So Nisha, the fundamental driver for us is that globally, if you look at the entire IT services space, it's still growing at 3 to 4% in aggregate on a $1 trillion revenue base, which is pretty healthy compared to global macro growth or growth in other industries. Now, within this, of course, there is quite a rapid shift of spend happening from more legacy IT services towards whatever you would like to call it, next-gen IT or digital, IoT, analytics, cloud, etc. There's lots of different names for really that shift spend. The buyers of these services is also shifting from the CIO's office to often the business lines themselves. But within that, there are, as I mentioned at the start, lots of opportunities still. And that is what excites us about continuing to participate in this space.
The mid-cap IT consolidation never happened in India. We've been talking about it for a very long time.
I would say some did happen. I wouldn't say it hasn't happened entirely. iGate Putney was an example, and then when that company was further sold on to Capgemini. So there has happened, there has been some mid-cap consolidation. I think that theme has now moved on.
Yes.
Because of this disruption in the IT industry I talked about, the shift to digital or the shift to next-gen IT. In fact, if you step back and you look at Accenture as an example, over the last 5 years, they've bought nearly 80 companies. So there is a consolidation happening. It's just not necessarily amongst the listed space or what is apparent to all of us. By the way, a lot of these companies that they're buying either are in India or have bases in India. So it's not like India is not participating in this consolidation. It's happening. It's just where the budgets are shifting is kind of where a lot of the acquisitive companies are looking.
All right. And Jwalant, what's your view? Indian big IT companies, the top 5 of them, finding it difficult to some extent to go on to the digital, the data, that side of the business. They are still on the conventional IT services at this point. Is there any sense on what we are picking up in future trends?
Look, I completely agree with Shashank, and let's not make any mistake here. I think the big Indian IT companies are completely on the ball in recognizing this changing trend. They are clearly, in our view, all big IT companies, including the Indian ones, are all looking for relevant targets and acquisitions in the digital space and digitizing themselves. It's partly inorganic, but also there will be a lot of organic initiatives that we will see from these companies coming through and addressing this automation, IoT, digitization trends. So in our view, I think the sector is really focused on this in India as well, and they are making a substantial amount of efforts in being ready for this disruption.
All right. Thanks, gentlemen. Running out of time on Big Deal. Thanks, Shashank. Thanks, Jwalant, for sharing your views.
Thank you.
So the changing dynamics in the telecom and IT space, the digital space, and we tried to put some perspective into what's really happening, but many moving parts, and this particular space is going to be very exciting for some time. Thanks so much for joining us on Big Deal.